It's not every day a video game series with over 30 years of history gets put on an extended hiatus, but as of right now, this is the reality of Need for Speed. Yes, I'm talking about that one franchise with the cool BMW in it. It's a little odd that the second best selling racing series of all time, well, first, if kart racers aren't your fancy, hasn't had an entry since 2022.
Wait, who publishes this again?
Oh, right. With Forza Horizon 6 on the horizon, okay, sorry, it's got me thinking about the pace this genre is moving at. The last Forza, Forza 5, was launched November of 2021, with the one before that appearing October of 2018, and prior releases occurring roughly biennially. The same trend can be found with Gran Turismo, with time between Gran Turismo 6 and 7 being about 9 years. Now I know the obvious is being pointed out here, that games just take more time to make, especially relative to 15 years ago. But with this genre in particular, there seems to be a lacking of releases and the sunsetting of franchises in a way that isn't affecting other modern genres. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Returning to the crux of the title and thumbnail of this video, I'll be looking at the state of Need for Speed and putting it into frame. So there hasn't been any word of a new release in over 3 years, despite the reassignment of reins from Sweden-based Ghost Games, who struggled with finding talent during their studio's tenure with the franchise, back to UK-based Criterion in February of 2020, who managed to pump out exactly one game before EA said, "Hey you, stop wasting time, we need hands on the cash cow," pulling them from Need for Speed to work as a group effort on Battlefield 6. Since then, they've been a Battlefield first studio with Need for Speed benched on indefinite hiatus. It may be a household name, but with the series being a shell of itself relative to the glory days of Underground, Most Wanted, Carbon, Undercover. So anyway, it makes a lot of sense to put a capable studio on another at the time struggling IP, especially one with at least more growth potential. Yeah, not shockingly, EA, along with a big chunk of the video game industry, is throwing everything at the free-to-play multiplayer wall and kicking more single-player focused projects with limited microtransaction potential to the side. The current landscape paints a pessimistic chance we'll ever return to scheduled releases for Need for Speed, or at least not the 2-year cycle we got spoiled by under the Ghost era tenure. Like, how did they ever manage to get Need for Speed 2015, Payback, and Heat out in the span of like 4 years in the first place? But anyway, shortly after Heat, Ghost Games was downsized to a support role, reverting back to EA Gothenburg, their former namesake. Meanwhile, DICE, primary developer of Battlefield at the time, completely fumbles with Battlefield 2042, launching in 2021 as a horrendous, unfinished, buggy mess.
This is open paid beta. Yes, you are correct, bro.
Which, if I had to guess, was one of the reasons why EA had a corporate restructuring not even 2 years later, splitting leadership under two umbrellas in 2023, those umbrellas being EA Entertainment, encapsulating Sims, Apex Legends, the Star Wars games, etc., and EA Sports, which involves go-figure sports titles, but also racing games that aren't Need for Speed. Criterion was initially on the sports division for some reason before being put on EA Entertainment, more specifically under Battlefield Studios. This was done, in quotes, to make our dreams for Battlefield a reality. We have to think bigger. We rallied 20 plus years of Battlefield experience, combined them with the best emerging talent in the industry, and united them under a single banner, Battlefield Studios, end quote. Also, in reference to late studio head Vince Zampella, he said, quote, "Criterion's experience with Battlefield, our technology, and building engaging experiences will have an immediate positive impact as we continue to work on Battlefield 2042, and as we continue reproduction on a connected Battlefield universe. There is no better studio to join us on this journey, and I couldn't be more excited," end quote. We'll return to the rest of that later. So, how did all this work out? Pretty well, actually, with the next release being Battlefield 6, launching on October 10th of 2025 to great success. With 7 million copies being sold 5 days after release, and 20 million being sold before the year's end, becoming not only the best-selling game of the year in the US, but also the best-selling in the franchise's history, with a peak player count of 747,440 according to SteamDB. Those numbers are a complete 180 for the series, paying off the move to rally such a massive team together. That said, Criterion's obligation to Need for Speed is likely at an all-time low, but I doubt it's zero. And here's why. You may have heard about the huge buyout of EA announced last year by an investment variety consisting of Saudi PIF holding a majority stake along with private equity firms Silver Lake and Affinity Partners, holding 5.5 and 1.1% stakes respectively. The buyout was also a leveraged one to the tune of about $20 million, so that will likely mean layoffs and studio closures to reduce overhead in the short term as well as increase monetization in current titles. Now, the deal is expected to close first quarter of 2027. Assuming its approval, this may result in other EA IP getting shelved because, well, there's no one to work on it. That said, it has been stated major franchises are expected to remain central to the portfolio. Now, my thoughts on this whole process is short term, there's going to be a lot of restructuring, which will almost certainly negatively impact EA employees, but long term, this might be good for the company. Why do I say this? Well, games are only taking more time to make. Well, things may change if AI can effectively improve dev cycles, but that's another topic entirely. However, as a publicly traded company, they were incentivized to maximize profit any way they could. And a good way to do so is by pushing for live service games like there's no tomorrow. As a private company, out of the shareholder spotlight, projects could potentially make it from start to finish without interruption. Whereas before, games might be canned mid-development to improve operating margins. For example, projects like Titanfall 3 and the single-player Apex game codenamed Titanfall Legends, which still had 50 devs on the team up until its cancellation. EA would prioritize what makes them money now, not what may be unguaranteed in their eyes to make them money later. When the average AAA cycle for a game is 3 to 7 years, of course they'd rather just make more Apex skins and push more Sims 4 DLC to pad out the quarterly earnings report. Devs putting months or years of time into pre-production for new titles that may not even meet expectation aren't contributing to that constantly reoccurring bottom line. So that's my synopsis on why I believe going private in EA's case isn't all that bad for the health of unannounced projects in the long run. Anyway, now that I'm done rambling, let's finish that Sampella statement. It reads as follows. Work will also continue on what's next for Need for Speed. Many of you might be familiar with my history in games, having worked with extremely talented teams on Apex Legends, Titanfall, and Star Wars Jedi here at Electronic Arts. But you might not know I have a passion for cars, which also makes Criterion a perfect match for me to explore another genre in gaming that I love. I'm really looking forward to working with the core group as we shape what's next for the franchise, end quote. Unfortunately, Vince never got to realize that passion for cars through his work. However, that final quote is reassuring for Need for Speed going forward. So, at the end, I reckon the question isn't will Need for Speed return? The query is simply when. Hey, if you're still watching, I bargain that means you enjoyed the video. It would be nice if you left a like there. Catch you later.